news. If you don't know, I'm sure that a lot of you have already been having conversations about this, but the first popular vote on abortion in nearly 50 years, by the way, took place yesterday in the deep red state of Kansas, and the results may surprise you. Almost 6 in 10 voted to keep abortion rights, and that's with 99% of the vote counted. Now, the vote was expected to be close, but it actually wasn't close at all, which is why a lot of people are surprised. So what do you think of this and the fact that it happened, Erica, in a deep red state where disproportionately more Republicans turned out and voted against abortion restrictions?
I think that happened because at the core of it, it's not a party issue, it's a personal issue, which is really, people are thinking about how does this impact myself, my family. There's a lot of things that we don't talk about when we talk about abortion, and I think people are thinking about those things. Mothers or parents of sons are thinking about those things. If my son does what every person's doing or most people are doing in college, is this going to restrict or impact him for the rest of his life based on a decision that may have been an irresponsible one? If my daughter is in a situation where I have to choose between her or an unborn child, who am I going to want to be advocating for that person? These are personal situations that impact almost all of us.
And there's nuance, Jeff. Let's say, Jordan is a mom to 2 kids. She's a stay-at-home mom, a fantastic stay-at-home mom. There's a woman, the state's escaping my mind right now, that is on a ventilator. I hope to God that she's okay and she will make it through this. But she miscarried early on and she wasn't allowed to because the intervention medically for a miscarriage is an abortion. That fetus is already dead or dying. And I say this all respectfully, and so that woman right now is on a ventilator because she has so much infection in her from the deceased fetus. So that mom may lose her life.
Yeah.
How can you pick between Jordan, who doesn't even have like a live child in her, who has 2 children at home? How does the unborn deceased fetus have more precedence than the mother?
That's why I was kind of confused it was this close, right? I think
But it wasn't very close, I should just say that.
Well, 59% to 40.
But in a deep red state, they thought this was like a steal.
But here, let me tell you why. First of all, I think more voters are going to come out than ever before. We're going to break numbers at midterm elections, as well as I'm more focused on the 2024 election. We are going to break numbers. People are going to come out and vote. They know their vote counts now. A lot of people are being bamboozled by the media, and they don't like it. Quote unquote, I should say that. But whatever. Let's get back to this. I don't know how many people actually voted for what they wanted. When you go to, like in the referendum, it says yes or no, right? Are you going to uphold this? A lot of people don't know. I'm an average guy, right? If I looked at something, uphold what? What the Constitution said? Uphold what? What the jury, what's it called? The Supreme Court? See, I can't even remember that. What the Supreme Court upheld? What my state is upholding? So if I'm voting yes or no for something, I might be like, yes, it's a women's right to choose. And I'm voting to uphold something that is the opposite. Do you see what I'm saying?
No, I do, because there's a lot of confusion.
So I'm confused. So that has to mean other people might be confused as well.
But I don't think in this case, I know it sounds confusing, and I've been there, Jeff. I've been there, and I'm like, this makes no sense to me. And thank goodness, you have that guide that you can take with you. Right. But on this, it was very simple. This will or will not restrict abortion rights. So I think for the layman person out there,
to that, I still don't know what I'm still like. Wait, I'm for women's right to choose, but what are my abortion rights? Like, it's confusing.
It's confusing on purpose.
Yeah. But you see, a lot of people aren't admitting that it's confusing, right? You think it's very simple. It's not. I'm telling you, I'm an average guy, right? My mama said I'm not a bright man.
You are.
But so, I mean, there's other people out there just like me. You know what I mean?
Did you just mean Forrest Gump?
Yeah, it was Forrest Gump. Yeah, everyone loves Forrest Gump.
Got it. No, I was just saying, you didn't know that was Forrest Gump?
I did.
I picked it up immediately.
I did. I wanted the viewer to know that he just quoted Forrest Gump.
Yes, and also your impressions fly under the radar a lot. You do a good Travolta. You do a couple good impressions.
Yeah, he does.
Okay. I'm not going to spit them out all at once. You got to pay for that.
Got to get to this other part of it that all you are talking about. It does relate. Okay, so on this topic, This time, this is coming out of Georgia. They've got a new law banning abortions after 6 weeks, and it contains all sorts of rights for the unborn. For example, pregnant residents can now claim embryos as dependents on their state taxes. And they could claim a $3,000 tax credit. The embryos and fetuses will also be considered legal residents that can be counted on the census. Mothers will also be able to get child support as soon as a fetal heartbeat is detected, and fathers will be required to pay. But the new law, and Erica's giggling, we're going to get to Erica, don't worry, I know you hear her off camera. The new law also raises a bunch of questions like, what do you do if you have a miscarriage? What do you think of all of this, Miss Erica?
Okay. Okay. So now people are going to get excited about a $3,000 tax break when it costs, what, over $200,000 to raise a child from 0 to 18. Secondly, this idea that you can petition for child support for an unborn baby. Have none of us been watching Maury for the past 20, 30 years? I mean,
Now
you have
Karamo.
people, right now Karamo, shout out to Karamo, but you have people out here who have gotten ancestry tests and come back with 50% matches, and these men are like, you know those things aren't accurate. You got people who literally are walking around with that man's face and they still can't seem to establish paternity, and there are women out there who have been going for 10, 15, sometimes 20 years just trying to get money from the baby daddy. But you gonna tell me that an embryo or a fetus that hasn't even been born yet, you gonna collect child support? Okay, hit me up when that happens.
That was my first thought when I saw this. It was just all the financial incentives, like, oh, it's tax credits.
It sounds great, let's be honest.
Yeah, if you highlight just the positives. So, but let's talk about some of the negatives. So, I actually know a lot of women that are close to me that have had multiple miscarriages. So, do they now say I have 4 dead children? Right. Like, how do we start to talk about this? And when we start
turn in a death certificate.
Absolutely right. Absolutely. And how about this? We have now opened it up where people can question whether you're leaving the state to have an abortion. So now people can now openly question, well, maybe Sam did something to have those miscarriages. Maybe, do you understand the Pandora's box that we are about to open with this? When we are deputizing citizens that have no part in your life to now be invasive in your bedroom, how do we think this is going to work? The answer is it's not going to work. And when you know something's not going to work, that's when you start talking about tax credits and $3,000. And whenever you're trying to rip somebody off, you start talking about the money they can get. When Erica easily just debunked that in 4 seconds.
4 seconds. It dawned on me, if this is going to be a legal citizen and you cross state lines, are you then guilty of kidnapping?
It doesn't make any sense, Sam, because you should know you work for Judge Judy. If something doesn't make sense, it's not true. That's my favorite. I live my life by that. If something does not make sense, it is not true.
Right, yeah.
And whenever somebody starts talking about, oh, well, they're a person, you can count them against the census. All that will be used in gerrymandering. This will all be used for your detriment. Nobody that is trying to tell you what to do with your body is trying to do you any favors.
Right.
I think we know that right now. So I hope we are all buckled up, because this is what all they have is like a tax credit and a couple grand. And we'll see in 5 or 10 years. But Jeff, I think we're starting to see now the midterms and 2024.
People are turning up.
They have galvanized people in a way that I don't think they thought they were going to do. But they will be held to pay at the voter booth. I promise you.
Yeah, because I feel like there's one side being spoken, right? And I feel like a lot of people feel a certain way, but they're scared to talk about it in public, right? You have your on-air persona and you have your public persona. That's what your friends. Everyone's like, hey, man, you can believe they did this? I did this? And then you get on air and you're like, hey, what a great idea. The state of Georgia's, like, no, that's not how people think. And when they come to the polling booths, it's going to show big time.
When it's their granddaughter, when it's their son.
Well said. And Jeff again with another impersonation.
That was my weatherman report. Hey, the barometer's 29 for the last 80 years. There you go.
It's always 29.
It is always 29.
Okay.